Good afternoon, everybody. Shane Jenkins here with another episode of Liberty's Cage. And as you can see, I brought the ugly team with me. I've got Enrique Tarrio and Ethan Nordine looking like a vanilla gorilla over there. What's up, fellas?
What's up?
Am I looking like just a gorilla and you just didn't want to say that?
You know, we could say so. We listen and I don't know. We look and we do judge, but we don't say it out loud, I think is how that goes.
Amen.
It's good to see you guys, man. You know, it always does my heart well to see you guys. A lot going on in the January 6th community.
There is.
The last few weeks with the fund. You guys want to, Enrique, you want to kind of lay it out and then maybe we'll get Ethan's take on it?
So yesterday, I woke up on Twitter. I woke up and I looked at my Twitter, and there was this report from Axios that said that the Trump administration is going to drop in its entirety the weaponization fund. And I'm like, oh, it's Axios, forget it, it's not going to be true. And then I looked at the DOJ Twitter page, and they said, well, you know what? I read it quickly, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's dead. But then I kept scrolling, and I was about to retweet it, and I read it again, and it basically says there was no new news on it. The DOJ says, look, it's going to comply with the order from the judge and wait the 2 weeks to get more information and make a decision then. So, but then I started seeing other reports that the administration itself, there was a separation here between the DOJ, but the administration itself was thinking, and Trump himself was thinking about dropping this fund. One thing I've never seen the president do is not fight, which I already found odd. But that right now is where we're at. My opinion on it, I guess, we'll talk about that. But that's where we're at as of yesterday. And actually, as of now, nothing new has come out.
Yeah, so when you heard that, did you hear that news already, Ethan? And if you have heard it, or if you just heard it now, what's your...
I kind of anticipated something like this happening. It's kind of been the luck of our whole situation the last 5 years. No matter what we try to do, whatever motion, it gets turned down. So we're really used to the kind of the bad news. But, like Enrique said, it is unlike Trump to not fight for something or to at least adapt and make some available. I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow figured out a way to finance it, just to remove all the red tape. But I think it comes down. I think it comes down to votes. I think this is a potential vote grab. The polls are down, and I think the Republicans are suffering right now. And I think that maybe focusing on the people a little bit will probably boost his numbers. So. I think if that's the case, he's going to do whatever it takes.
Well, Enrique and you and I were talking about this last night. I was driving back from Kansas City to Indy last night, and you kind of mentioned this, and after you said it, I was like, well, if they do away with the fund, then they kind of put us, we're back to where we were 2 weeks ago before this news dropped, right? So that kind of puts us back in just back in civil suit or tort claim mode again, right? Which is fine, whatever. I didn't go to the Capitol to get paid, so I'm not really too worried about it. But I think that, we broke, and you and I spent a lot of time on kind of breaking this down, the numbers behind all of it, how many Jan 6ers there were, how many Catholics praying. How many people were victimized by a weaponized DOJ? And when you break it down, if you split it evenly, it's probably going to be less than $1 million a person, which I don't think, if I'm looking at a number to be compensated for 4 years of my life and solitary confinement and 2 years with no visits and 2 years no religious services and a year without a haircut and a year without a fingernail clippers and all these things that happen to all of us, especially in the D.C. jail, I just don't think $800,000 or $1 million cuts it. I would rather, honestly, just if that was the number, if they just came and said $1 million as your compensation, I would have to consider strongly just proceeding with my civil case. So it kind of puts us back to that. But the other thing that I'm looking, there is some, and I don't like it. I wish it wasn't the case, but we've got Republican support of this. They don't want the fund either. And so, but the good news with that is this does expose their hand in regards to that. They can say, Shane Jenkins broke a window in the Capitol building. He did throw things at police officers, even after he was assaulted from behind and pepper sprayed. So he shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have probably assaulted him. However, like they could say, like, we're all about compensating people who suffered harms at the DOJ after January 6th, and say we don't necessarily agree with their actions on January the 6th. They are just absolutely, completely, totally against us being compensated, period. They don't give a damn what the situation, what the context, what any of it is. And that's kind of where I have a problem.
I always like stepping in the shoes of my enemies and seeing what the strategy and what they're thinking. So at the moment, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of a leftist and like these fake Republicans. And you look, I have to be thankful to the president because, you know, we complain a lot about what's not being done. But if you look at the first term, the culture and Congress is shifted. We have a lot more. Like if there was a vote to do this weaponization fund during Trump won, like everybody would oppose it. And now we have some people that we have support. So there's a lot of progress there. But I'm going to step in the shoes of a leftist and a rhino. And I don't think it's a really good strategy, right? Because then the strategy is this, and you said it exact. The strategy is to not compensate us for the suffering that we went through. Right? No matter what. That's like the, by any means necessary, we're not going to compensate them.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that the $1.7 billion, right, is finite. It's a finite number. And then there's never going to be infinite amount of money. I'm just saying it's a finite number. And like you said, for a lot of people, a little under $1 million is not enough for their compensation. Maybe if you did like 10 days in prison, you know, I don't want to speak for them, but maybe in that case, you'd be like, all right, fuck it, I'll take it, right?
Well, here's the thing, and here just interject real quick. I mean, we Enrique and I, and with a couple other people, we're involved in a civil case in D.C. It's been going on for 5 years now over burning a BLM banner. And there's so many discrepancies and irregularities with the case. It's bullshit, is what it is. And these guys are getting $3 million for a banner. You know, and there's several cases in which the left has gotten these kind of lawsuits, you know, whether it be default or whether they just be winning outright or settlement, with several $1 million in case just like minor vandalism or hate speech or whatever it is. And we're sitting here debating over less than $1 million for 4 of our lives, like Shane said, in solid. And I don't think people really grasp the image and the reality of what that looks like. Solitary confinement. You are in a cement cage for upwards of 23 hours a day, every single, you know, and it's cold and they don't feed you right. And you can't have any access to the outside world other than what they give you, maybe, you know, a tablet here or there or whatever. I didn't have a tablet for years. So it was a lot more difficult than dealing with a burned banner that, you know, somebody down the street took from me. So it's kind of like, you know, we ourselves morally to that level of like Shane, kind of like sit back and think like, I got to really take this seriously and say, maybe I need to continue this battle through other means, because, you know, it's very likely that they're going to make us sign an NDA or something like that if we accept this money, saying that we cannot, you know, chase after the justice, you know, in our cases. So, and for me, I don't really, I mean, the justice is important, and we're getting that in other means, like our case getting thrown out recently, or our charges getting thrown out recently, and soon our indictment. You know, there's a lot of people who are just made whole, and a lot of people who their sense of purpose is lacking, their sense of identity has been destroyed. So it really, there's an onion of a situation here that a lot of people aren't looking at. And so these Republicans that are coming out outright just saying, you know, F these, it's pretty telling. It's pretty telling. Fixing BLM's mess, giving BLM, yet we won't even take a second to consider, you know, people who actually lost their lives. So that's all I have to say about that.
This is where, and what Ethan said is completely true. I didn't think about the the BLM banner. I didn't compare that, the 3.5 million, to them trying to give us $1 million and then trying to take it away from us. I'd caution leftists and fake Republicans to, I'd caution them, seriously, so in the category is if this fund gets here, they'd make us 100,000 errors, right? I made this post yesterday.
Oh, sweet.
Be careful, because they're going to be minting multimillionaires if they crash this fund. And that's why, look, yesterday when the president went ahead and if the reports are true, and the president's like, all right, you know what? Take the fund. We won't use it for weaponization. We'll find another way or whatever. That was $1.7 billion for the fund. Do you know how much Congress allocates to the DOJ every year to settle lawsuits, financial losses, and tort claims?
Isn't it like $200 billion or something like that?
It's $100 billion.
Oh, $100 billion.
That pot is much bigger. And if the DOJ decides that they want to settle these cases, here you could calculate loss, actual loss, where I think that the weaponization fund will be based on merit, right? Did you get indicted? X amount of money. Did you go to prison? X amount of money. Did you serve more than a year? X amount of money. So those factors are agitating factors. But in a lawsuit, it's actual losses. It'll be like, look, I expected that I was going to make this much money. Here's the proof. Here's my emotional damages. Here's my reputational damages. These are my physical damages. And that money could be a lot more, right? We're asking for $250 million.
Pause that thought.
Go ahead.
Enrique, we're going to go to commercial break. We'll be right back with more Liberty's Cage with Ethan Nordine, Enrique Tario, and myself right after this.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just two entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent. But the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW. Making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single, Justice for All, with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. We'll get ready for round two. We're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all, our voices ring. The anthem of the free.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we
I'm Shane Jenkins, back with Liberty's Cage with Ethan Nordine and Enrique Tario. And Enrique, well, go ahead and finish up your point, but I also wanted you guys to introduce yourself just for people who don't know who you are, and just give them a little brief bio or whatever.
Yeah, so what I was saying is to be careful with leftists and rhinos, because inadvertently what you're going to do is you're going to make the DOJ settle these cases, and there's no congressional oversight. There's no judicial review of that. That's a mechanism that the DOJ has used since the beginning of time, and they decide what our losses is. We're currently suing for $250 million. That's $100 million in punitive damages and $150 million in compensatory damages. And although I don't think it's going to be $250 million, it's going to be more than $1 million each. That's a given. And I'll tell you this. Judge Mehta in the Oath Keepers case made an order for the government, because the government had filed to dismiss the indictments of the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. But in the Oath Keepers case, we haven't heard from our Judge Kelly yet. He's like, well, not so fast. You have to give me something more detailed as to why you're dropping these cases. And if the DOJ decides to go, okay, well, then we'll tell the truth. These people were persecuted. These are the steps the prosecutor took. This is the political motivation and the malicious prosecution by X and X prosecutors. This is what the FBI did. If they start outlining all of that
in your courtroom,
I might not wanna, even if this fund stays alive, I might not want to drop my civil lawsuit.
For real. I wonder if he's even thought about the repercussions of that question.
I think he has. I think Mehta has. They're very smart people.
Please. Yes. Yes. Great question.
They admit that they were wrong. Everything that we claimed on our lawsuit says yes. And at that point, we are actually entitled to even more money than just, hey, let's settle this.
Yeah.
You're going to make, look.
Okay, it would be amazing.
Here's one last quick point that I'm going to make. If I get this money, and it's a good amount for me to start up, I'm retiring out of politics. And I asked the leftists and the establishment Republicans, wouldn't you want the seditious five, all of us, to retire from politics so you don't have to hear our mouth again? So please, go ahead, end the weaponization fund for all I give a shit. You're going to keep hearing me forever. I want to go into retirement. I want to buy a house on the top of a mountain, or maybe a beach side at the Keys, and just live my life in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to get into spelunking. Yeah.
So who are you guys again? I know y'all got to get off here in a minute, or you do, Enrique. Go ahead and tell me. Yeah, go
ahead. Go ahead, Ethan.
Oh, okay. My name's Ethan Nordine. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, Seattle specifically. And I became pretty prominent out there as I joined the Proud Boys back in 2017 and knocked the shit out of some Antifa. That made me rise to the ranks of my club, and that's how I inevitably met Enrique across the freaking country. Started doing rallies together, and one thing led to another. We were at January 6th, and we got locked up. 4 years locked up in federal prison, year in solitary confinement, and then I was released last year, and now we're continuing the fight. So,
oh yeah.
And my name is Enrique Tario, former chairman of the Proud Boys. I got sentenced to 22 years, and I am a Floridian. And Ethan forgot to say that he is a Floridian now, and I find that kind of impressive.
I'm Florida proud.
From being an Eskimo over there to being an actual active member of society in a real state. But yeah, the president pardoned me. I think most of you guys know mine and Ethan's story and Shane's story, obviously, if you're watching Liberty's Cage. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, Shane. Good to see you, Ethan. You should have stayed here in South Florida, but you decided to move to Honky.
I'm in Florida. I'm just on the other side.
Well, Enrique's stuck in the South because I guess he swam up from Cuba. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a really good land mammal. I
wanna
got
buy-
little legs, like those when frogs started evolving. I mean, like tadpoles started evolving, that they just have like these little hands. That's where I'm at. I can't walk far.
You toddle. You're a toddler.
Yeah.
We should make Tortuga. Down off the Keys, that Tortuga.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's
national park. We should make that like J6 Island or something. We could.
Yeah.
It's already fortified.
good. With our
Dude.
$11 million, just buy it.
Put cannons on it and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am hopeful. What's crazy is, this, like, I have never seen, I have never ever seen this many people melt down when they started talking about J6 people getting compensated. My God, like the bots and Antifa and whoever purple-haired cat ladies started coming out of the freaking woodwork, like crying about.
They don't like when we.
And I was like, this is great. Like, I was like, this is
So
a
why do you
great
think
time.
they spend so much time trying to get us fired from our jobs, man? Like, that's like good on them for like at least having an avenue to attack their enemy properly. Like, our side is always just like trying to we need to spread the truth. It's like, dude, these guys are getting us fired from our jobs, man. They don't,
Yeah. Like, how much truth are you going to spread when they're doing this?
bro.
Like,
They're
and
like
it's such a great
bitter
tactic.
ex-girlfriends.
They just
Yeah, you know-
bother,
Nickname my right arm Ruth.
like, your boss, like, as like, if you weren't political at all and you had a business, like, the motive of the business, like, the main goal is to make money, right? And, like, you get a whole bunch of people calling you, and you let's say I'm, like, somebody's boss, right? Let's say Dom's boss, right? And, like, Dom's a good worker, and I get along with him, But I'm not a political guy, and I keep getting calls every fucking day, and, like, I'm just get tired of it. And I'm like, you know what, bro? It's better. Dom, I got to fire you.
Yeah.
I don't know
Exactly.
what's going on here, but they keep calling, and we need to stop these calls. You're fired.
Yeah.
It's such a great tactic. It's just like, it's genius, actually.
Or like what they did at my family restaurant. They just bombard the restaurant line so you can't even take to-go orders. And then the employees start to feel unsafe. They don't know what's going on. It doesn't mean that they don't like you or they don't believe your side of things. It's just
Right.
the chaos that is brought into the environment of your work and everybody else. They don't understand it. They don't get it. So, it's...
Or the bad reviews they could put on like a restaurant.
Well, you can't hold it against people for firing you because it's like, well, what are they going to do? They going to wage war against Antifa too? They're just trying to make money. So, and nobody talks about that. It's like, that stuff also happened to us. Not even outside of January 6th, that stuff happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
So these people who are, these Republicans are like trying to make a stink of this thing. They can go kick rocks, dude.
Yeah. We have lost some good solid rhinos, though. That's good news. Like Bill Cassidy. I guess Tom Tillis is retiring. Who else did we lose? We lost some. There's some other big name. Oh, John Cornyn in Texas. He's like Mitch McConnell 2.0. We have got to get rid of John Thune. Like, I don't know. I mean, I knew when they started talking about, I think I was still in the D.C. jail when they were talking about when they made Thune, I guess, the Speaker of the Senate or whatever. And I was like, why in the hell? That's like Mitch McConnell's right-hand man. Why would you do that? Like, he's, Turtle Man Mitch versus freaking, it's the same thing. I don't get it either. They don't want to win. They don't have the spine to win. They're a bunch of, I can't.
How hard is it to pass, like, voter ID? I don't know. The SAVE Act? Like, obviously I know they're stupid, but
Well, both sides want it approved. Like, that's what
Stupid,
the crazy
weird,
thing
dude.
is.
They're just like a bunch of geeks, man. I'm tired of looking at these freaking guys. They just look like that guy that, like, his parents were well off, but, like, was always that asshole that never shared his shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like that guy that you didn't want to invite over to the party because you just know you're just going to cry about something. Like, those are the guys that are running our country. And I'm just like, we need to start pulling stuff. Like, look at these other third world countries and how they're dealing with their people, and start considering, like, hey, maybe we should invite these people over. Let's get the right people imported.
I feel like the guy would show up in loafers with no socks and those high like
Get those
fashionable
people
pants.
from Nepal back here.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I pray to God that there is some type of. The longer this goes on, the more I am of the mind that there is no left versus right, man. It is.
We need Al Pacino, somebody to like just.
Well, let's not use Al Pacino.
Yeah, no.
Well,
Al Pacino somebody, it's buy them a pair of high heel boots.
But it come in like, say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, you get Al Pacino somebody. He's cool.
At the very end, after he just dies from an overdose, I'm like, in the wet or something.
Well,
Sayonara.
I know you got to get Enrique. Ethan and I will finish up the show. We got 30 seconds. You got any last words?
Yeah, just join us at the news brief when you guys are done. We're about to go on the news brief and just talk about the same thing we talked about here.
Yeah,
but I appreciate for having me, Shane. Love you guys, and I'll see you soon.
All right. God bless you, brother. We will be back with more Liberty's Cage with Ethan Nordine and myself right after this commercial break. Go to sugarcreekgoods.com, promo code Liberty. You'll get 15% off. We'll see you back with more right after this.
250 years ago, a nation was born, built on courage, driven by freedom, defined by patriots who stood their ground. Today, we don't just remember that legacy, we wear it. This is more than a shirt. It's a symbol of strength, freedom, and pride. I'm Steve Stern, COO of theflagshirt.com, and I invite you to celebrate 250 years of the United States with us. Wear your pride, stand for something, get your shirts today.
Politics feeling broken? What if you could match with politicians the way you match on a dating app, but based on real values? Meet OpScore from GoUSA, the first ever values-based political matchmaker. Think Match.com for elections that aligns voters with politicians. We score politicians on a nonpartisan scale based on your priorities. Track your politician scores and take our OpScore Challenge survey to match with leaders who align with you at opscore.org. Stop voting blind. Start matching smart. Politicians work for you.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won. It's not about what party. It's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
It's me, Joe the Box. And I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino Podcast coming to you from the America First Warehouse.
Welcome, everybody, to the James Justice Show, tearing these airwaves apart with all the craziness that goes on in the world.
Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Shane Jenkins here with another episode of Liberty's Cage.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Red, Right, and True.
We are streaming live on America First Media and Television app.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always
I'm Shane Jenkins, back with Liberty's Cage, and I'm with Ethan Nordine. And we are honored to be on the America First Media app with, Joe, Teresa, Martin, William, everybody up at the America First Warehouse in Ronkonkoma. If you have not been to the studio up there, or to the warehouse, excuse me, you got to go check it out. I have a blast up there. Joe the Box, wonderful guy, waving his flag all the time, playing it like an electric guitar. You're not going to meet a more solid patriot, somebody who bleeds red, white, and blue, who supported J6ers, who has J6ers up there as often as he can, who supports Stand in the Gap Foundation. So you guys go, if you're in Long Island or in New York, or if you just want to go see some sights, because he has so much memorabilia in the warehouse. It's phenomenal. And you got to go check it out. So please do.
Yeah.
Thank you guys again. Yeah. So what's up with you, Ethan? It's been probably about a year, I think, since I interviewed you. Maybe
it's been a while. Yeah, I've been really busy transitioning out of prison. Across the country from where I was originally from, here in Florida. I had a son since, and that's been a trip. Amazing experience, lots of jobs, just trying to figure it out. A lot of people don't realize it's one thing transitioning out of prison. There's a huge, you got to adapt to all sorts of different changes and stuff, because you're completely in survival mode the entire time you're in prison. So when you get out here, like you walk into a grocery store and you're like, what's going on? What is all this? All these people walk and nobody's telling them what to do. It's just like, everything is a potential threat. So it's definitely a depression process. Readapting to that. And then also you have the political aspects of like what happened, what they did to us, and getting a bank account, for example. I still to this day, only one bank will support me, and they're specifically supporting of like conservative J6ers, the Old Glory Bank. But they're very little. I can't have a Zelle, I can't have Cash App, Venmo, none of that stuff. So it's been a very difficult process to try and get things up and going and, established.
Can I help you there? I deal with Old Glory as well. Thank you. Shout out to Old Glory and John Rich and Ben Carson, who they all are, I think, part owners of that bank, but they don't have a brick and mortar location yet, but they do. I don't know if you know that they have you have access to like over 40,000 ATMs.
Yeah.
They refund the fee on that. But what I did, and maybe there's other J6ers out there that are watching this, I had to go through Wood Forest Bank, which is based out of Walmart, which there's like a Walmart everywhere. And when I need cash and I don't want to have to deal with any, like when I have to get rent money, I transfer money from my Old Glory bank account to my Wood Forest account. And Wood Forest, seems like they'll let anybody have a bank account.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind, because that was kind of the issue I had, like, being able to deposit money if I had a check or something like that, or cash, or, it's a little bit more difficult because they don't have, like you said, a brick and mortar building anywhere or set up, or so you have to go to these like Walgreens and pharmacies and stuff. This is wild. I'm not going to go deposit.
Second-class citizen now.
I went to Miami one time, and I went to try and do it, and like the guy didn't speak English, and he's like, "Oh, Glory? No." I'm like, all right. I guess I'll just go. No.
Off then.
Yeah, no, I think it was good, though, to take that year, because, I came out, to be honest, a little ignorant of, like, just the climate of whether it be political or economics, just with family, friends. Everything was like, I perceived things in a certain way, and I was very gung-ho, going 110 miles an hour in one direction. And a lot's changed since then, a hell of a lot. And I've had time to kind of digest things and deal with some things that, some anger issues, whether it be about this justice stuff or our lives just being decimated with what seemed to be no care or wherewithal to even acknowledge it. And, you've seen it all the time, too. There's a lot of guys and girls who are affected by January 6th who are still struggling right now. I mean, we're all kind of the being made whole thing, coming home and your family's 4 years older, moving on with their lives without you. Your business is gone, or maybe the wife of the business and now she's running things and you're sitting at home just like bald, and that stuff matters. And it's funny because it's like, it wasn't just like 3 or 4 of us. It was like 1,600 people. And that they were planning on indicting even more, So long story short, I've just taken a lot of time to consider, how can we, aside from just like demanding justice and like hoping that we get a payout or something, how can we really start to build a foundation and infrastructure that will keep us, independent from everything else? and so that we're not susceptible to this stuff again. And a lot of that has to do with just training people's minds and bodies and spirits into going into a particular direction together, with business and infrastructure and lifestyle. I think we get lost in the sauce a lot of the time, especially with politics. People want to save the world tomorrow, and they want to be the ones who did it, and they want to be praised for it. And if you're not praised for it, you get burned out. And I think, this really goes back to our Christian roots is, it's really in the little things that we do. Not to say that we shouldn't be battling the big things, but if we can't figure out how to take care of ourselves physically and mentally and spiritually, then we're not very much, we're not a good leader, a good enough leader to be taking care of the big things. And I've had to really learn that, whether it's, when I was in prison or since I've been out of prison, how to really mold that into the character I want to play in this whole thing.
Well, so you touched on a lot of things, and I wanted to encourage you because I heard you talk about trying to rebuild and decompress after prison, and I wanted to take a snapshot of your life today. Like, you have a little boy. You don't live on the West Coast anymore. You live on the East Coast, and you don't live in the Northwest. You live in the Southeast. You're completely opposite side of the United States.
Yeah.
We're doing this show together. We're not in prison. You know what I mean? You have done that. You are doing that. You know what I mean? You're starting a new business venture. And I think that I love is I don't like going to prison, but there's something so freeing about being able to reinvent and restart your life, and just to kind of I moved from Houston to Indiana 2 months ago. I've been sober for 2 months now. Like that, there's stuff I was wallowing in pity and, suffering emotionally and mentally, and, dealing with suicidal thoughts and just not wanting to deal with life on life's terms. And I was drinking way too much and just, I wasn't being a good ambassador for Christ. And so I moved to Indiana. I met an awesome, wonderful, beautiful woman up here. And I've recreated my life again since I've been home, and it's been a wonderful thing. But I think, it boils down to, like you said, though, being the leader, being the man, being the strength and in the forefront, is something that we learn going through life, and it's something that we learn by reading the Bible. And I think I think the more you get these, it's like you like to work out. It's like getting in reps. Like you're coming here and you're rebuilding your life in Florida. So you're getting these reps, and you're like, okay, I'm getting my feet back underneath me. I can look around and realize that I don't have to be on DEFCON 5 or DEFCON 1. I don't know what the worst one is, but threat assessment, who's out to get me? What's out? I can just enjoy the sunrise or the sunset or the birds chirping or I can just kind of just take it all in and take a moment. And I think that, one of the things too is taking a moment to yourself and being kind to yourself. You know what I mean? I don't mean don't be accountable to yourself. A lot of people think that, they don't need to hold themselves accountable, but I definitely think that, you got to step back. I think perspective shows a lot. If you look, I don't know if you've ever looked at your life like that. I used to be over here. Now you're all the way over there. You got a child now. There's a lot. It's a journey, and you're well along the way on your journey, man. I heard you a little bit.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man, because, it really is difficult sometimes to have perspective on your life, whether they be you're being in a toxic relationship, people are, and they just can't see how miserable they are because until they're long gone from it, you get used to your circumstances. And I think, as long as, kind of like you put, my favorite thing with the gym is it is the perfect example of real growth. The life is the gym, and sometimes people don't want to partake in life because it's difficult. You got to break down your body. To grow, you have to be broken down, and you have to kind of have that mentality. When you're when you're about to go to the gym, and you're sitting there do I have my headphones? Do I have the right music? Do I have my clothes? Do I look good? And if one of those things isn't perfect, you're nah, I'll go tomorrow. I lost my headphones, can't go to the gym. You know, that's kind of how we are with life. Like, so that's why so many people like reschedule or they like totally drop out on people. Like, you know, you said you're going to be here at 5. I'm not feeling great. You know, it's like your clothes weren't matching, so you couldn't go out, or just things like that. We make excuses, right? And it's little things that actually inhibit us from growing and overcoming. And, you know, through doing that over and over and over and over again, the gym is not much of a challenge anymore. Life doesn't become so difficult. And when the big things get thrown at you, like a lawsuit from some church in DC, you're just like, whatever, another one, another lawsuit, who cares? Do your worst. Because at the end of the day, I serve a king that's greater and more powerful than anything and anybody. And he's on my side. And I have to remember that it's not my doing. It's not the doors that I'm opening. And it's not the people that I'm putting in my life. It's him doing all that. And when I start to get frustrated at my own inadequacies and I say, well, I should be able to overcome this, and I get frustrated, I have to take a step back and ground myself. I'll go to the beach and just like jump in the water or something and just kind of like, give yourself some grace, because you're not the one at the wheel, So if you gotta go through something, go through it with a smile on your face, because he's got you. That's really focused on honing in that mentality a lot, especially recently, just because, like, gosh dang, it's an up and down battle every day. I'm going through a divorce. I've got like the worst kind of people after me. This like, these lefty legal firms that are just like, they don't any limitations to the resources, and they're just like, we need everybody who you're friends with, we need their messages. And I'm like, no.
Screw you. Hey, we got to go to break, Ethan. We got to go to a break. We'll be right back. And I want to say this before we go to break. I think about, why me, God? And I'm like, why not me? We'll be back with more Liberty's Cage right after this.
Who else, Shane?
Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
Corporate transfer. Fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
We're back with Liberty's Cage. I'm Shane Jenkins, asleep at the wheel with Ethan Nordine.
Asleep at the wheel. No, you know what? That quote from Fury. I mean, it's a Bible verse, but it's like that the moment where Shia LaBeouf is they're all in the tank with Brad Pitt, and he's talking about, you know, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 9, I think, and you know. Then I heard the voice of the Lord, and he said, "Whom shall I send? Who will go before us?" And it's just every time I hear that, I get like the craziest goosebumps, because it's a verse that I think, you know, I'm not going to be ignorant and say it's a verse that I think is the most, you know, that I understand the most, or I get the most, but it's really up there, because it's like, especially if you've gone through some of the things we've gone through, it's like you get that kind of rebellious yet righteous spirit that starts to come through and says, you know what, send me, and here am I, send me. And I always tell people he's not giving you a direction, he's not giving you a destination, he's not telling you who's going with you, he's not telling you who's gonna, you know, be the enemy, or if you're gonna win or lose or whatever. Like, it's just a very dark place you're walking into, which is where we call, you know, where faith comes in, right? This is the whole point of faith, you know, and follow his lead. And it's nothing that's put more perfectly, in my opinion, than that verse, is because it's so honest and raw. It's like, who will go for us? Right. It's like, here am me. It's like, okay, cool, go.
You know, I get chills when I see that too. I love that clip. There's another thing that's like the next evolution of that quote, and this is something that I said when I got baptized. It says, "No one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." And it's talking about, like, if you're already like, I'm committed, well, send me, why not? And then you're like, I'm going, and then you're like, do I really want to go? I don't know, should I go or not? Like, no, you're like, you're plowing, you're just cutting a path right through this overgrown field, just plowing it up. You're not looking back, you know, you're just like laying waste to this, and you're just going through it, not looking back, whipping the ox or the mule or whatever you got, the Clydesdale, whatever you got in front of you, but you're like, then that, I think that's the should be the image. And you and I talked about this a lot in the DC jail, but about manhood and about male leadership, and I think that's kind of how we should be, just plowing. Let them put stuff back together behind us. We'll figure it out. But as long as we're plowing ahead for the kingdom, for this republic, for men, I think that we don't need to look back. We just need to keep going.
Yeah. You know, and I read this thing the other day, because like a lot of us guys were taught, you know, and raised to, you know, to kind of prioritize being liked and being seen as kind. And kindness is, you know, kindness isn't always genuine. It can be a mask. And I think you shouldn't be really focused on being remembered as kind, but rather somebody who is willing to be present and have the patience to endure whatever it is, and really be the protector is the primary focus. I think God calls us to be protectors more than being nice, because if we don't set that standard of fierceness, you know, we get what we're living today. We get this very passive Christianity. We get these empty leaders, these meat suits of leaders who got only what they believe and what their agendas are. We can kind of, you know, we can guess, and we can kind of see through action a little bit. But I would guess, but that it's way worse than what we think it is. You know, I would guess that. I think there's way more evil involved here than we really give it credit. And that should be a trigger for us men to kind of activate that deeper part of ourselves, to kind of stop being so focused on being liked and being, you know, admired by people and impress people, and just be like, you know, this is mine, this is my people. You know, I'm a Christian man, and I'm going to take care of children, and I'm going to take care of my family and my friends and my people. And through that process, if there is an opportunity to speak the word and truth to somebody, of course I'm going to take it. But I'm going to lay a firm hand down on this homosexual stuff right now. You know, everybody's got a good gay friend. Everybody's got a friend that's gay. We get that. All right. But we need to be on, okay? Because God talks about this. He talks about leading astray his little ones. And it is better for that person to tie a rope and a rock around their leg and cast themselves into the ocean. If you're homosexual, good on you, fine. But if you are advocating your homosexual lifestyle upon a small child, better for you to go kill yourself, says the Bible. So I'm not saying that, but that's what the Bible says. And the standard of which Christian men should be living is according to what? The Bible. And we shouldn't be lenient on people who go and preach these things in churches and hold rainbow flags over churches. And I don't care if people hate me for this. Like I just said, I don't care very much about being liked these days. I care very much about children, and I care very much about the future generations, and I care about how God views my actions in this time that I've been, brought to live. So that's where my passion is really these days, and how I can be effective in, growing that.
I saw there's a church in Houston, and I did I forgot Instagram, and maybe I did a TikTok about it too, but it's a Mennonite church, and they have a transgender flag hanging in their front window, and then their sign out by the street has like a transgender big sticker on the side of it. And I'm just like, maybe they took that term Mennonite, like a Mannonite, like we need one man a night on top of another man or something. I don't know what they meant. But I'm like, again, how perverted are you? And I don't mean like perverted. I mean, it is perverse, but to warp the Bible and I'm not saying, like you said, if you want to be gay, hey, that's between you and God. I don't care. I don't want to know about it. Like, if you're outwardly gay and I can tell, fine. I'm not going to cast you away or castigate you. However, I don't tell you about my sex life or what I do behind closed doors. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care to hear about yours. And I certainly don't want somebody in the pulpit promoting that lifestyle or, sin is sin and we're all sinners. And the thing that these people need is Jesus. Would I care if a transgender person came to church? Absolutely not. I would welcome them. I want them to be at our church. That's the only thing that we all need is Jesus. That's what we need. And that's the bottom line. All sin looks different, but it's all still sin. You know what I mean? And there's only one way to the Father, and that's through the Son. And we're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory. And the only thing that is going to allow us to get to heaven is the blood of Jesus Christ. And there's no other way. It says, as a matter of fact, it says in the Bible, it's like you could live, and this is obviously not quoted, but you could do your best. Like whatever you could do. And in God's eyes, that would be the equivalent of dirty tampons. It says menstrual rags is what it says it would be. So the only thing that makes us good enough is the blood of Jesus. And that's it. And I think once you realize the fallen nature of mankind and who we are since Adam, that we are sinners and we will fall short. But our job is to accept the blood of Jesus Christ, and it says a righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up. That's the main thing.
Right. Yeah. It's really going to take a little bit. I think getting behind the lifestyle of the Bible, truly is as far as as far as this being directed at men, conflict issues. I mean, we need righteous leaders. We know this. We talk about it all the time. We need politics who have the balls. Well, where's that going to come from? It's going to come from living righteously. It's going to come from following the example of the Bible and being unapologetic about it, being warriors of Christ, have that crusader, mindset, and not be afraid of offending people or getting enemies, because Jesus tells you, you will be hated because of him, and take pride and honor in that. He sends us into battle, and spiritually every single day. It's a mental battle, it's an emotional battle, it's a spiritual battle, it's a physical battle. We have poison in our food, in our water. There's so many things in our environment that is constantly attacking us, spiritually, physically. They're trying to dumb you down. That's the brain fog that everybody has. It is a result of a continuous war on your body. And the enemy is at the head of this, so get yourself in gear. You need to be, there's a reason why people call this the Great Awakening, because God is reaching out and he's saying, hey, prepare for battle. And there's a reason why guys like me and Shane have gone through what we've gone through. It's because we've been fortified in the fire, man, and we were meant to lead. We are meant to be leaders. So if you're a man out there, you don't have to necessarily have been into prison like us. But if you feel like you've just been put in the fire for years, your whole young adult life and current adult life has just been being broken and bent and, sharpened and whatever, take that as a sign that God has had his hand on you and he's preparing you for leadership in a time that, the spiritual war has never been more important. And so I take it seriously, but I also it's fun. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. It's frustrating, but it's an honor at the end of the day because it's real.
I think about, you're telling me, and I'm like looking at Bible verses and stuff over here, but I'm thinking about whenever, and I was thinking, I forget, maybe I was talking to Billy Cressman.
Bill.
Oh, Billy. I did that yesterday. I drove to Kansas City yesterday and was taking care of a car that's, by the way, Stand in the Gap accepts car donations. Somebody donated a truck and we had to go get the title stuff straightened out. So I had to drive to Kansas City and then back yesterday. So 8 hours both ways. But I was thinking about Jan 6ers and, which we are, but Nebuchadnezzar was like told Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he said, bow down before this. Was it I forget what it was, the statue or golden, I forget, no, it wasn't the golden, that was a different moment in time, see. It was an idol they had built, and they're like, we're not bending the knee, and he's like, well, then you're going in the fire, and he heated it up way hotter than it ever had been. It's like glowing red hot, and he threw them in there, but he was trying to get these people to capitulate and just say, like, look, we'll compromise, and that's what it is. He wanted them to compromise. Just bend the knee. I don't want to kill you guys. Like, you just got to do this. You just got to kiss the ring, or bend the knee, or whatever. And they were like, nope. And they got thrown in the fire. And that's what ultimately what they wanted us to do with President Trump too, was they wanted us to. We've ran over the limit again on time. Dang it. Anyways. We refuse to capitulate, and we will continue to fight. Ethan, it's always an honor to talk with you, man. I am, I will be with you on Warboy Studios. We're probably going to go do a show after this, but it's been an honor to know you, man. And you're my brother. I'd do anything for you. I need to come down to Florida so we can go to the beach or go work out or something, dude. I'd like to see you, but thank you for coming on Liberty's Cage, bro.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. Love you, dog.
All right, love you too, man. See you guys next time on Liberty's Cage. God bless y'all. Thank you for showing up.
For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free in the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be. America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see. A symbol of hope, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free.